In 1945, the rain fell black in some places in Japan. People thought it was strange. The truth is that the black color was poison from the atomic bomb. We were exposed to the rain. We touched the things that the rain fell on. We drank water from the well. We ate vegetables that were watered by the rain. All of these were harmful, but we didn't know it. Many of the victims of the atomic bomb were not soldiers, but civilians. We will compensate those who were hurt by the atomic bomb. By the way, you were not exposed to the black rain. It didn't fall where you live. Yes, it did. There is no record of it. See here. It fell on the other side of the river, but not on this side? That's impossible. It's been 75 years since the atomic bomb was dropped. The court finally made a wonderful ruling. It recognized the damage done to our health. But the Japanese government appealed the ruling. Instead of delay, we want recognition from the government as soon as possible. We were exposed to the black rain. Our health is damaged.
This picture shows people strenuously walking to Koei National School in the black rain caused by the atomic bomb. The older brother might have died. There are these kinds of stories. Because his cousin was in the basement of a bank, he had neither burns nor even a scratch. He walked in the black rain and arrived at his home in the evening. He and his family were happy that he had been so lucky. But a month later, he came down with a high fever, his hair fell out, and spots appeared all over his body. Leaving behind his new bride and baby, he died. Hiroshima City estimates there were 140,000 deaths from the atomic bomb. Those who survived still suffer from diseases related to the atomic bomb. The Japanese government provided some relief measures, including issuing atomic bomb survivors certificates that entitle them to free medical treatment. Yet there appeared to be many people who were deemed not to have been exposed to radioactive black rain or to be atomic bomb survivors, and were therefore not able to receive compensation. There was one meteorologist who realized this. His name is Masuda Yoshinobu. He's a meteorologist who still writes articles and gives lectures at the age of 97. When the Pacific War started, he was working at Miyazu Meteorological Observation Station in a port town north of Kyoto. His work was to make weather charts, but weather forecasts soon became state secrets. Even letting fishermen know about the weather forecast was not allowed. He began working at the Meteorological Research Institute. He found the relationship between the hydrogen bomb test in the Bikini Atoll and the unusual weather that summer, and published an article arguing that the hydrogen bomb test caused an extraordinary change in the global climate. It was 30 years before Carl Sagan and others published Nuclear Winter: Global Consequences of Multiple Nuclear Explosions in 1983. Masuda published his own book on nuclear winter in 1985. In 1959, Masuda received the award of the Meteorological Society of Japan for his groundbreaking joint research, prediction of a typhoon's course. He received a doctoral degree in science from the University of Tokyo in 1961. Masuda had deep respect for Uda Michitaka, who studied black rain by interviewing residents and published his findings in an article. In 1985, at World Conference Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs in Hiroshima, Masuda tried to report on Uda's research and let a wider audience know about his achievements. But what an atomic bomb survivor told Masuda was unexpected. He said, "We were troubled by the Uda rain area." This was what triggered Masuda's subsequent research. He took how those atomic bomb survivors who had not received compensation felt and began reinvestigating the range where the black rain fell. The story begins on August 6th, 1945. At 8:15 a.m., an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima by the U.S. military. Soon after that, black rain began falling on a wide area in and beyond the city. Because there was no running water outside the city, people used water from ponds, rivers, and wells for everyday use, including drinking. They drew water dirtied by black rain and drank it, cooked with it, made baths with it, and they continued to do so. They harvested vegetables covered by black rain and ate them. They grew vegetables in the soil soaked by black rain. They didn't know how horrible it was. The black rain had radioactive materials from the atomic bomb. Why did the rain become black? The reason is this. When the atomic bomb was dropped, all the buildings and people stopped looking like what they used to. Everything broke into pieces, surged up into the sky following the atomic bomb's fireball, and became an enormous mushroom cloud. Fires broke out, black smoke climbed into the sky and began to form cumulonimbus clouds. The clouds continued to spread over distant areas and caused rain. The rain was sticky and pitch black, containing soot from the fires. They said burned fabrics and paper also fell from the sky. It was Uda Michitaka, a technician from Hiroshima Local Meteorological Office, who interviewed the residents and researched the range of the rainfall at an early stage after the dropping of the atomic bomb. These are the records of his research that Masuda found when he started his reinvestigation, written in detail with thick pencil or portable brush and sumi ink. Masuda says he was able to understand how Uda researched in a difficult situation. This is the map of the rain area made by Uda and others. It's called Uda Rain Area. It shows that rain fell in an oval shape, as far as 29 kilometers from the hypocenter and with a width of 15 kilometers. The purple area shows heavy rain. The blue area shows light rain. The Uda rain area was what Masuda introduced in his speech at the 1985 World Conference Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs in Hiroshima. But then came the critical comment from an atomic bomb survivor. Surprised, Masuda talked to him after the lecture. He said, "You're an expert on weather, right? Do you think that such a heavy thunderstorm would fall in such a fine oval shape?" As an expert on weather, Masuda apologized for his lack of insight and uncritical use of the Uda rain area and promised a reinvestigation. In reality, only those people who lived in the heavy rain area can receive the same medical exams that atomic bomb survivors do. Those who are found to have any of 11 symptoms, such as cancers or chronic hepatitis with cirrhosis, can receive an atomic bomb survivor's certificate. They can receive a special allowance and free medical treatment. But people who live in the light rain area have never been covered. The atomic bomb survivor's certificate, begun in 1957, is for the designated atomic bombed area, shown in gray. In 1976, that area was expanded to include the orange-colored area. This became the designated area for medical exams. This is close to the range of the Uda heavy rain area. No changes have been made since then. Atomic bomb survivors are divided into those who can receive compensation and those who cannot, by the Uda rain area. This was the context for the comment about being troubled by the Uda rain area. Masada read all the personal notes written by those who experienced the atomic bomb. He looked for any descriptions about the rain and added them to his file of Uda research materials. He made a tentative map of a rain area twice as wide as Uda's and presented it at a poster session at a conference. This was reported by TV and other media, but Masada received numerous phone calls that evening. "I saw your map, but where I lived is not included. Did you really research?" Even after that, he received a wave of angry phone calls and letters. Masada decided to hold an investigative hearing on the site. The investigation was done at 5 sites both within and outside of the city limits. In all, 340 people attended and 72 testified. Masada presented their testimonies to their neighbors and friends using a megaphone. Although it had been 37 years since the dropping of the atomic bomb, people might remember something as they listened to others, and it wouldn't be a one-sided presentation, he thought. He also used questionnaires, gathering information from about 500 people. The data he collected kept increasing after that, and the result is Masada rain area. It's based on 2,125 cases. It was about 4 times bigger than the Uda rain area. The shape is different from Uda's oval shape and shows an irregular distribution of rainfall. Also, it turned out that there were 2 different kinds of rain that fell after the atomic bomb. One was muddy rain from the mushroom cloud that extended from the hypocenter. The other was black rain from the pyrocumulonimbus clouds that emerged from the fires after the explosion. Both included radioactive materials. Those who got wet from these rains had acute symptoms like bleeding from their nose or gums, vomiting, and diarrhea. Later symptoms included thyroid disorders, high blood pressure, kidney trouble, and heart disease. People outside of the designated zones are not eligible for compensation and have lived with anxiety about their illnesses. The government's response was cold-hearted. The Conference for Fundamental Measurement Issues for the Victims of the Atomic Bombs, established by the government in 1979, reported, after a long discussion, that every Japanese has to equally endure the sacrifice of war, and that unless there are scientific and reasonable grounds, it does not recognize the area as irradiated by the atomic bomb. It is no better than being abandoned. In 1988, the government convened an expert council on black rain after media pressure to reconsider the rain area. The council adopted a computer simulation developed by Yoshikawa Tomoaki at the Meteorological Laboratory and concluded there was no need to expand the rain area. Masada was surprised by this and analyzed the simulation himself. He found that the rain area's expansion was blocked by unscientific logic. He published an open letter of inquiry. Yet, he said, he received no convincing response. The movement to designate a larger irradiated area died down. In 2008, however, the Hiroshima prefectural and municipal governments tried to expand the area. That is the survey of the damage from the atomic bomb. Some 37,000 residents were surveyed about post-traumatic stress, including in-person interviews with about 900. Analyzing 1,565 responses that were clear about the time and place of their experiences with black rain, Otaki Megu, then a professor at Hiroshima University, created the Otaki rain area. It's about 3 times larger than the Uda rain area. Let's superimpose the Masada rain area in red over Otaki's. The shape is different, but the range is almost the same. Hiroshima City and the prefecture asked the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare to expand its designated area of radiation using the Otaki rain area as evidence. In response, the ministry formed an advisory committee for the certification of atomic bomb diseases. Masuda attended 8 of the committee's 9 meetings. The committee concluded that the residents' responses that it rained 20 kilometers away from the hypocenter were unreliable. It rejected all of the results of the survey. Masuda said he was shocked to see there was no committee member who knew how it rained right after the blast. As a result, the area designated as affected by the atomic bomb has never been expanded. This wouldn't have happened if there had been film footage showing the rain. The U.S. military filmed it but failed to develop the film. The footage was lost forever. Only the photographs are left. This is a photo taken from a U.S. military airplane right after dropping the atomic bomb, showing a condensation cloud covering the ground and a growing gigantic mushroom cloud. This was taken by a citizen from the ground, showing the mushroom cloud. This was also photographed from a U.S. military plane. You can see the mushroom cloud spreading up into the existing clouds. We tried to visualize the movement of clouds based on these photos and Masuda's explanations. There is other research that showed it rained outside of the Uda rain area. The research was done by Shizuma Kiyoshi, then a professor at Hiroshima University, and published in 2010 about the fallout caused by the atomic bomb. Fallout means radioactive fallout. Shizuma measured cesium-137 in the soil samples collected by the Nishina research team in 1945. The Nishina research team, under the guidance of Nishina Yoshio of Riken, collected soil samples in the range of 5 kilometers from the hypocenter on August 9, 1945. Its main members were from the Japanese Army. The next day, the soil samples were delivered by air and were measured for radiation the same day. The results confirmed that the bomb was an atomic bomb. Shizuma was interested in the soil samples from the atomic bomb because they were collected before numerous post-war nuclear experiments. Let's look at the research results. These are Uda rain area and Masuda rain area in the old Hiroshima City. Blue is the light rain area, dark purple is heavy rain, and light purple is moderate rain. Put Professor Shizuma's cesium-137 study over the map. The size of the yellow circle shows the strength of the radiation. The stronger the radiation, the bigger the circle. In the Uda rain area on the left, yellow extends outside the rain area, for example, points 18, 22, and 25. On the other hand, all of 18, 22, and 25 overlap with the rain area on Masuda's map. Professor Shizuma concluded the actual rainfall area is closer to Masuda rain area than Uda's. From this research, too, it is clear that it is not valid to regard the Uda rain area as a condition for compensation. Expansion of the radiation area will not happen by waiting. There's not much time left for us. In 2015, those who were exposed to radiation by black rain were desperate and sued in a class action lawsuit against Hiroshima City and Prefecture to be issued atomic bomb survivors certificates. It's been 70 years since they were exposed to radiation, and 39 years since the government designated the special zone for medical exams. the 88 plaintiffs are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. This shows the places where the plaintiffs were exposed to radiation using human-shaped green icons. Everyone had radiation exposure in the Uda heavy rain area. 5 years after the court filing, Hiroshima District Court issued a decision in July 2020. The verdict was to issue atomic bomb survivor certificates to all of the plaintiffs and fully recognize claims in the lawsuit. The district court said that those who were exposed to radioactive black rain included those who had long-term exposure through food and cannot deny the possibility of health disorders from internal exposure to low-dose radiation. This was the long-awaited just verdict. Finally, there was recognition that black rain causes radiation exposure. The central government tried to persuade the Hiroshima prefectural and municipal governments who wanted to accept the decision and move on to compensation soon by telling them, "We promise a revision including the possibility of expanding the designated zone for medical exams, so please agree to appeal the court's decision." In the end, 2 weeks after the verdict, the Japanese, Hiroshima prefecture, and city governments appealed. It was false joy, the plaintiffs said, their shoulders slumping. Even if we try one more trial and get a good verdict, there will be another trial. Why does our country not try to relieve atomic bomb survivors? Masuda thinks this way. Masuda wonders if the Japanese government appealed because it is afraid of the ruling's impact on numerous court cases, including the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident. Expanding the zone designated for medical exams could invite even more discrimination and division. He thinks it is wrong to expand eligibility in this way. What would be desirable is to follow the Hiroshima District Court's ruling and provide relief to anyone who has any of the 11 symptoms. 3 months after the appeal, the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare began investigating the range of black rainfall. The ministry formed a new study group. The study group, which includes meteorologists, will verify the range of black rainfall and consider expanding the zone of eligibility for assistance. Masuda was appointed a member of the study group. It is a well-deserved choice, and it is deeply moving when we look back on past developments. Masuda is planning to make a more accurate Masuda rain area and work hard on the tasks of the study group. He also wants to give lectures and writes so that everyone knows there were 2 different kinds of rain after the explosion of the atomic bomb. A scholar who has spent 35 years taking concrete action to keep the promise he made to the atomic bomb survivor that day. This is the noble spirit of meteorologist Masuda Yoshinobu, 97 years old.